Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum ji. Starting with the name of Allah, who is most merciful and the most beneficent. This is me, Muhammad Ali, student of BS English 6th semester in Government Degree College Haveliya. My class roll number is E1715. Today, the topic of my presentation is binding theory. That means what is binding theory, what are the principles of binding theory, and what is a binding domain. So these are the things. These are the topics that I am going to present in this presentation. Right. So let's take a start. First of all, I want to give you some introduction about binding theory, that what is binding theory, and then we will move further, right? So binding theory is is the dispensation of anaphoric elements. It is the distribution of anaphoric elements, right? Anaphoric elements can be pronoun, like he, she, it, him, they, we, her, etc. Right? It can also be a reflexive pronouns, like myself, himself, herself, each other, etc. Right? So this is the first point, that binding theory is the distribution of, is the dispensation of anaphoric elements. The second point is, a pronoun or a binder usually has an antecedent or a binder. First of all, I want to tell you that a pronoun or a bindee is the same thing. You can say either a bindee or you can say a pronoun, or on the other hand you can say antecedent or a binder. So it says that a binder or antecedent, sorry, will usually or always bind a bindee or a pronoun in the in the sentence, sorry. uh, a third point is that binding theory identifies the syntactic relationship between a given bindee and its binder. Right? It means that it means that the binding theory identifies the syntactic relationships between a given bindee and its binder. That means it identifies some sort of syntactic relationship which can or must hold between a given pronoun or a noun, right? And its antecedent, right? So this theory is about the syntactic relationship between nouns, between pronouns and its antecedents, right? So this is the this is the short introduction about binding theory. Now let's move on to the examples. Here are some examples. uh, let's see first one, that Ali loves himself, right? So here, in this sentence, Ali is a binder and himself is a bindee, right? Because Ali binds its binder, and and this is a pronoun himself, right? I denoted both Ali and himself with small letter a because they both are binding each other, right? So the next example is, Ali loves him, right? In this sentence I denoted Ali with a and him with a and b, because we don't know who is him, whether it is Ali or whether it is someone else, right? So Ali binds him, and it is also not bind him, right? So this is all about. So these are the two examples of binding theory. Now let's talk about some of the terms that are used in the binding theory. So the first term used in binding theory is R expression, right? So what is R expression? R expressions is is such a noun phrase or NP which gets its meaning by referring to an entity in the world, right? So, for example, we have a train, and we have a moon, right? Train means you when you think about train, you have an idea or you have a physical shape like boxes, right? And we have a moon, right? So moon has a physical shape, right? So this is our expression. And then we have anaphors. Anaphors means that they are the noun phrases which obligatorily gets meaning from another noun phrase, right? In the sentence, right? ये जो anaphors होती हैं, ये जो इसमें जो noun phrase होती हैं वो obligatorily meaning जो है वो अपना जो है वो लेती हैं वो दूसरी किसी noun phrase से. For example, हमारे पास example लेके Ali hurts himself. Here you can see that Ali is an antecedent and himself is anaphor. So you see here himself gets its meaning from antecedent or from another noun phrase, right? And the next is noun and pronoun. So pronoun is the it is the noun phrase that may gets its meaning from another noun phrase in the sentence, right? It is not obligatorily gets its meaning. It may get its meaning from another noun phrase, right? So as you can see on the slide, we have following examples like first one is Ali said that he played hockey. Ali said that Ali played hockey, and Ali said that someone played hockey. So here noun phrase may gets its meaning from another or may not gets its meaning from another noun phrase, right? Uh, Next is antecedents, right? So antecedents means that it is also the noun phrase that gives its meaning to a pronoun or an anaphor. For example, Ali punches himself for rebuking. Ali punches himself for her. So here you can see that himself gets its meaning from Ali, or Ali gives meaning to himself, right? So this is antecedents. Next is indexing. So indexing means that each index represent a different index, right? For example, we have a sentence that Ali said that he worked in the dark. So here you can see that each index is different in the sentence, that is Ali, and then we have a he, and then we have the dark. Second last is and the last one is, sorry, co-indexed, right? So co-indexed means that two noun phrases are co-indexed if they have the same index, right? For example, you can see Ali hates himself for hurting him, right? So here you can see that Ali is directly co-indexing himself because himself refer to Ali, right? So her pronoun in the sentence is not co-indexed to Ali, because right. So you can say that this is co-indexed, and co-indexed means that two noun phrases are co-indexed if they have the same index, like Ali and himself, right? So this is all about the terms which are used in the binding theory, right? So here binding theory comes into operation, that A and B are co-indexed, and A C commands B, right? So I have also attached the picture on the slide. You can see that in this picture you can see we have example that Tom hurt himself, right? So we have example. So the first point is that A and B are co-indexed. So here I denoted Tom A and himself I denoted B. So you can see that A and B are co-indexed. Tom directly co-indexed himself, right? So the first one rule or first principle, first rule is applicable, right? That is A and B are co-indexed. The second one is that A C command B, right? So A C commands means that you go one step up and then you go all the way down, and you can see that one step Tom to we have to go Tom into a we have a inflectional phrase or tense phrase, and then we move to the down, and we have verb phrase, and then we have verb phrase, and then we have the verb and determinate phrase. So AC commands also here is applicable, right? So this sentence is grammatical. The next example is Tom's father hurts himself. Tom's father hurt himself. As you can see that I draw the structure here on the diagram. So, in these two sentences, if we take Tom's father in a separate, in a isolate, then it is not fulfilling the second principle. That means C commands. But if we take Tom's father as a whole, as you can see on the second example, then both principles are applicable. Then both rules, so both rules are applicable, right? So that is A and B are co-indexed, and A C commands B, right? uh, next is uh, next is the binding principles. So there are three principles of binding theory: principles A, principle B, principle C. Principle A is that an anaphor must be bound in its binding domain. Second principle B is pronoun must be free in their binding domain. And third is binding principle C is our expression must be free. So before we move further on to the binding principles, I want to tell you that what is binding domain, right? So binding domain means that binding domain is the smallest inflectional phrase or tense phrase containing the noun phrase, right? As you can see on the screen in the examples, that we have a sentence that Melissa likes herself, right? So here we have tense phrase, leisure phrase, and then we have determinate phrase, and noun comes under determinate phrase, right? So that why I denoted here. So here you can see that we have a tense phrase, and tense shows that the tense is positive, or it is present, sorry, or a past. So here I can say that minus positive means that it is a present tense, and if there is a plus positive, it means that past tense, right? So here you can see that the smallest binding domain is the smallest TP or IP containing the noun phrase, right? So this is the binding domain. Now here comes the first principle. So the first principle says that an anaphor must be bound within its binding domain, right? तो ये कहता है जो को एनाफोर होता है कि वो ज़रूरी जो है वो बाउंड होना चाहिए, उसका जो पहला डोमेन है उसमें, उसको जो अपने डोमेन में उसको जो है वो बाउंड होना चाहिए, राइट? एनाफोर को, राइट? सो सी द एग्जांपल देयर आयशा सेड दैट हर सेल्फ वाज हैप्पी. So here you can see that we have two binding domain. Binding domain one is Aisha said, this is one binding domain, and the second binding domain is herself was happy, right? So first principle says that an anaphor must be bound within its binding domain. So here anaphor is herself, right? So you can see that you place Aisha, you denote Aisha as a, and you also denote herself as a, right? So it means that Aisha and a herself are both the same, but they are not bound each other in the same domain, because Aisha lies in in another domain, and herself lies in another domain. So these both are lies in the in different domains, right? So this sentence is, you can say that, ungrammatical. Now let's see second sentence. Second sentence is Sultan believed that Ali loved himself. Here you can denote Sultan with A, and denote Ali with B, and denote himself also with B. So you can see that Sultan believed this is one domain and loved himself, this is another domain. So here you can see that Ali bind himself, right? So in different domain. So here you can also say that Ali binds himself in the same domain but not binding the anaphor, right? So this sentence is also ungrammatical. Third example is Waqar believed that Ali loved himself. So here you can denote Waqar with A and Ali with B and himself with A. So here first in principle also is not apply because Vakar is in different binding domain, right? And as I told you that Vakar believed this is one domain and Ali loved himself this is another domain. So first principle is not applicable here, right? Because first principle says that anaphor must be bound within its binding domain, right? So this is first principle. The second principle is that a pronoun must be free within its with its binding domain, right? प्रोनाउन जो है वो उसको फ्री होना चाहिए उसके अपनी डोमेन में, राइट? फॉर एग्जांपल सी द सेंटेंस मारिया सेड दैट शी वाज एक्साइटेड. So here you see that Maria said is one domain and she was excited this is another domain, right? So uh, so uh, so here you represent you denoted both sorry sorry for interruption. Sorry for interruption. So here you can sorry wait a minute yeah, this one. So here you can see that you can denote Maria with A and then you can also denote she with A. So you can say these Maria and she is same but they lies in different domain and she is not bound by any within its own binding domain, right? So this sentence is grammatical, right? So here principle B apply because a pronoun must be free within its bounding domain. So she is free in its bounding domain. Second sentence is Maria said that she was sad. So here you represent Maria with A and you represent she with B. So here you can see that she is free because it is not bound within its own binding domain because Maria said is is one domain and she was said she was another domain, right? So so here this sentence is also a grammatical. Now let's see the second last sentence that Maria said that she liked her. So here you represent Maria with X, she with B. Sorry, here you represent Maria with A and she with B and her with A. So Maria and her are the same, but they are not. She is not. Her is not bound within its own bounding domain because her is lies in different bounding domain. So this sentence is also grammatical because the principle be apply here. The fourth sentence is and the last sentence is Maria said that she liked her. So right. So here you represent Maria with A, she with also A and her with also A. So these Maria, she and her they both are same, right? So here you can see that pronoun is not free because it is bound in the, because it is not free within its own binding domain. So this sentence is all is ungrammatical, but the remaining three sentences are grammatical. So this is binding principle B, that a pronoun must be free within its own binding domain. Now let's talk about the last principle, right? And or third principle or principle number C. Principle C says that an OR expression must be free everywhere, right? So OR expression must be free everywhere. For example, here I say she punches Amna, right? So here you can see that there are two entities, she and Amna. These are the two entities, and you can see that he is not free. He is not free here. So this sentence is ungrammatical. Now let's talks about the second sentence. Uh, sorry, why she is not free? Because they are both same. X, she represented by A, and Amna is also represented by A, right? So these are both two are the same. So next talk about do Ali met Ali. So here you represent Ali with A, and the second Ali with A. So these two both are the same, but they are two entities, right? They are the two entities, right? So here our expression is also not free, and now we have the second sentence. The last sentence is she left Ali. So you can see that here our expression is free, right? So so in the our expression in the first two sentences, our expression is different. So in the first two on the first two sentence, third principle not apply, because does not apply, because our expression must be free everywhere. So here in the first two sentence, our expression is not free, but in the last sentence, our expression is free, and this sentence is grammatical, right? So third principle says that our expression must be free everywhere, right? As I said you in the as I told you, as our expression is free in the last sentence, she left Ali. So this is all about my today's presentation. uh, Thanks for listening plus watching. If you have any question, you can ask me through WhatsApp, through text me on my number, through message, through email. Thanks again. Bye bye and Allah Hafiz.